Oh, that's right. You see at the show that's called Apocalypse Tips and Lester Pips, which is the show that you's watching. Thank you so much for doing that, and also good job on doing that. Listen, if you're thinking I don't know who this guy is, well, my name's right there in the title. It's Lester Pips, man. I'm not just sitting here saying, "Hey, I'm a guy." We's having trouble streaming to Twitch. This may be an issue on Twitch's end. We'll keep trying and let you know if it is resolved. Please check Twitch to ensure the stream looks okay. If this continues for a while, try creating a new broadcast or just remove this destination from the broadcast and then re-add it. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is assume it's going to work and keep going. Okay, if it doesn't work, hey, I guess all them Twitch users missed out, and everybody who's on Facebook and YouTube, y'all is better than the Twitch people. I don't want to say that to the Twitch people, though, because I do appreciate them. You know, I like them. Hey, look, sometimes technology fails, folks, and you might be thinking, who's folks in this situation? Seems like it's just you, but no, it's also all the listeners. Oh, I see a comment from a person on Twitch. So it seems to be working. That feels great. Just to you, the Nationals Improv Comedy, thank you and welcome. Someone is still streaming on the Twitch, says somebody else, which means that comment was for somebody else. Well, what's going to happen is once we get on Twitch, we're going to be on Twitch, but I'm going to stop talking about it and just go on with the show. So I asked you earlier if you knew who I was, and the answer to that question is, how could you not? I'm Lester Pips, the guy who was in the title of the show. I mean, come on. Was you watching a show called Apocalypse Tips with Lester Pips? You think it's going to be somebody named George Ezra? It's not. That's a musician. Okay, the pop came back again about the Twitch problem, but I got to just ignore it and keep going. It's hard to ignore pop-ups when they're big and red. You ever see a big red pop-up and think, I don't need to know what that is? No, you see a big red pop-up, you're just going to read it. And like I did earlier when I read it out loud. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move away from this Twitch problem and assume it's going to resolve itself. What we's got to think about when we's trying to survive an apocalypse is the question y'all should be asking yourself, and the one that I just posed to you. The answer is, of course, what we's going to talk about on this show, because this is a show called Apocalypse Tips, where we get into how you can survive an apocalypse, right? But let me just start with the most important thing, okay? The most important thing is you got to identify what matters to you that's going to survive this apocalypse with you. Because for some folks, that's like, hey, I want to make sure my dog gets through the apocalypse. That's good. For some folks, they think, I got to make sure my kids get through the apocalypse. Yeah, I hope they do. But for others, they recognize that there's more to humanity than their own personal needs. Like me, I'm a person who thinks about the whole of humanity, not just my dog or my kids. I ain't got a dog. I do have a son. What I'm thinking about is, what's humanity need in the future if it's going to be good? You know, what's the thing that's going to make it okay for humanity to go on living after there's some kind of big apocalyptic event that makes the whole world really bad? Well, that number one most important thing to me, because obviously, you know me, I'm broadcasting out of my bunker outside Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Therefore, clearly what matters to me most is Louisiana culture. And given that that is true, what we've got to do is preserve, and you can say this with me at home, and I really hope you do. Scream it as loud as you can so your neighbors think, what the hell are they talking about? The recipe and all the necessary ingredients to the Popeyes Louisiana chicken spicy chicken strips. Duh. If we ain't got that in the future, then what's the point of going on living, you know? I'm not trying to eat regular chicken strips from like a different place. Hell no. Hell no. I'm trying to live. You know, I don't want humanity to exist in the future but not be able to live. Damn, that would be rough, right? Sign off in the chat if you think that would be rough. You know it would be. Look, another thing about the chat, since I just brought it up, let me segue away from what I was saying into what I'm now going to say instead. If you're in the chat and you're thinking, I would really like to participate with this show, well, that's great, because this is a show where you can participate. Any question you have for me or any of my guests, and we do have guests coming up. I haven't said that yet, but we do. Any question you have for me and my guests, you throw that in the chat, and unless there's so many in the chat that I can't read them all, I'll read yours. So what you want to do is overload the chat, but hope that yours gets read. Or you could just say your one question, and then I'll read that. Or you could say a lot of questions. It's really up to you. Now, you might be thinking, damn, this dude's rambling. You right. Folks, we got a great show coming up. We got some guests that I'm very excited to get to. A little bit later, we're going to talk to somebody, an Amish lady who's on Rumspringer named Gertie. Gladfelter, who like all my guests forever, is somebody who was on my email list because they saw one of my live lectures, which I used to do prior to having to go underground because all the COVIDs was out there trying to eat their way in through my toenails, up through my bones, and maybe try to even eat my brain, which is what COVID's out there doing. So you got to protect your toes. And I'm excited to see how she's been doing on Rumspringer and dealing with all this COVID's out there. Now, before that, we're going to talk to Salty the Snowman, who I don't recall Salty actually being on one of my shows because I would have known if there was a snowman out there melted, because and by shows I of course mean important lectures, because snowman that melt, you remember that you see a snowman melt, you're going to think, oh man, I remember witnessing that snowman die. You're going to remember when you witness a death. That's what I always say. If you witness a death, you're going to remember. But I do hope that he, Salty, well, you know what? I've made an assumption of gender on Salty. I apologize. I hope that they are able to tell me about a time that I talked to them. Oh, but regardless, they was on my email list, so that's cool. And before that, we're going to talk to true crime aficionado Drake Capelli. Drake Capelli, excuse me. Sorry about that, Drake, in advance. I hope when you get on, you're not mad at me. Now, before we get to the guests, we have a very important thing to do, which is, folks, if you're out there and you're thinking, well, how's this guy going to make sure that there's Popeyes using spicy chicken strips in the future if he ain't got the recipe yet? That's what I'm thinking every day, y'all. I'm glad we're on the same page. Okay, but what I do have, and the way that I'm going to do it is I have I got the blueprints to every single Popeyes Louisiana Chicken franchise location across the country down here in my bunker. And you're looking behind me, you're thinking, that's not a bunker, that's a kitchen. It's a bunker kitchen, but it's also not my real bunker. My real bunker is too nice to show you. I don't want to make you jealous, so I always display a different fake one. But what we're going to do is, right now, is if there's a Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen franchise location that you want to break into, well, you throw that up there in the chat, and I will tell you how to do it. Because, again, I got the blueprints to every single one. All you got to do is give me a location, and I will tell you how to break in. And, look, a lot of shows where I've offered this very important service, nobody has given me a place to tell them about, which, I'm not going to lie, has been frustrating. This might be the most fun part of the show for me, and it might be the least fun part of the show for the listener. I don't know. But I want y'all to say something in the chat about where you want to break into a Popeyes, and then I will tell you how. And then all you have to do is just FedEx or fax that, either FedEx or fax, no other options, that recipe to me. And then I'll make sure that there's Popeyes and chicken in the future, which is what we all want. Which is what we all want. So I'm going to give you like 10 more seconds, folks. And then I'm going to have to move on to my first guest, which I'm excited to do. It's not like I have to, but it is like I want to, but I also want to do this first. But y'all, it looks like it's not going to happen. Apparently, there's a crossover feed on the Pack channel right now, which is making me very angry. Somebody stole my time slot. I'm going to have to put up a big fight with them, but I don't have a way to do that right now without interrupting streaming to y'all who's watching. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write down my anger in a letter later. But let's get on to my first guest, okay? My first guest today is, as I said, true crime aficionado Drake Capelli. And, well, here he is. Drake, welcome to the show.
Lester, you pronounced my name wrong.
What?
You pronounced my name wrong.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. It's Drake Capelli.
How would you like it if I called you Lester Pimps?
Well, on the one hand, I'm thinking, hey, maybe that's a compliment of some kind. Maybe he's saying that I look good. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, I think he got my name wrong on purpose just to be mean.
I guess we'll never know.
No, I think I do know. Hey, listen, man, I want to say this. If your name was Drake Capelli, that'd be cool, but it's not. It's Drake Capelli, and that's even cooler. So let me apologize to you right away. I am truly sorry for making that mistake.
Okay, well, I hope there are not any repercussions for it.
Me too. I imagine that the only person who could control if there was repercussions for it would be you.
That's an excellent point.
Mm-hmm. So I think we's good, right?
I certainly hope so.
Well, no, because it's like it's up to you if we's good. If we's not good, I'll make good. I'm real good at doing make goods. If anybody ever gets mad at me for something that I say on the show, I say, hey, I'm sorry, and then I try to make it up to them.
Well, I'll certainly allow you the opportunity to make it up to me.
Okay, yeah, you just name your price, my friend, and I will pay it.
2 fingers. I'm kidding.
You mean like from my hand? Like you want my fingers, Drake?
Okay, never mind.
Okay. Look, you told me that you was here to talk to me about how you's getting through the apocalypse by watching a lot of true crimes documentaries. Is that true?
That's true.
Well, how's that going? It looks like you're in an underground bunker right now.
Yeah, I came on because I like that we're two bunker folks. That we both enjoy our time in the bunker. But yeah, I've watched and listened to as much true crime as I can for ideas.
Well, that's cool. I'm sorry for ideas like how to stay safe.
Yeah, that's certainly a way to put it. How to stay safe after certain actions are taken.
Okay, sure, yeah. So like you've been watching any good ones? I know people's watching a lot about people's been watching The Vow. Is that true crime or is that just a documentary?
That's a weak ass crime.
Oh, is it? Because I feel like that's a thing about a guy who starts a cult, right? And then it's like, man, if you're starting a cult, you're controlling a lot of people. That is big crime, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a sex cult, but no killing. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't have to protect yourself from sex cults. You just have to protect yourself from getting killed, I suppose.
Well, just not sort of the instruction that I'm looking for. That's all.
I see. Well, then, what do you have a favorite true crime?
I like the classics. I like Jinx. I like Serial. I like Bosch. I like
Bosch.
Law and Order.
Bosch, like the show on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's also
and the book
a
series. That's a fictional.
Yeah.
That's a fictional book.
Well, it started as fictional, and now that they've broadcast their ideas, it's become true crime.
Well, that's interesting. Now, I always thought of true crime as being like a genre that's about true crimes that have happened in the past. But it sounds like what you're saying is, once it's been out there in the world, that makes it true.
Once it's been out there in the world, it has the potential to become true crime, depending on what happens next and who does it.
I see. Yeah, I guess if somebody was to emulate the true crimes that they was watching, well, then yeah, I guess it would become true in a way. Huh.
One of us said it. It wasn't me. It was you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose you led me there, but I did say it. I guess that's true. Well, that'd be too bad. I mean, we wouldn't want anybody to be like, "Hey, on Bosch, there was this guy who shot somebody inside of a little train. I'm gonna go shoot somebody inside a little train." That sounds bad.
Well, I mean, you certainly see the mistakes they make after they shoot someone in a little train. You see how they get caught by Mr. Boss, and maybe you don't want to do it the exact same way.
Now, Drake, I gotta say, at first I was thinking, "Hey, this is a guy who's going to talk to me about lots of TV shows that he likes to watch," but now it seems to me like this is a guy who's going to talk to me about a lot of murders he wants to do.
No, mostly TV, podcasts, books, all sorts of entertainment.
Oh, sure. So, what makes Jinx your favorite? That was the first one you said.
Oh, it was so raw. We got it straight from the horse's mouth, if you will. We were able to hear exactly his thought process, and that was very enlightening for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean that's the old Robert Durst one, right? I don't actually watch any of these. I got to be honest with you. The only thing I watch on TV is LSU football Tigers.
Well, that's that's a true crime sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Some seasons they're a little rough.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what you're telling me is now Adam Macias on the Facebook chat here is asking me if this guy has a bad burp. You didn't burp, did you?
A bad burp? What's the difference between a bad burp and a good burp? I guess would be my
Honestly, not
question.
sure. I don't really know why he asked that because it doesn't seem like at any point you've burped so far.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I mean, so you's down there in your bunker now. You's watching all these true crime things. You like to learn how to protect yourself, not to do any murders. And that sounds good. But How would you say that you are handling being so isolated? Is it going well?
Yeah, it gives me a lot of time to think and plan. I have a whiteboard that I make great use out of. It's really my companion down here, and I bought an ice chest recently, so I
Hmm.
have other companions as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah, ice chest can hold a lot of companions. Like it can hold maybe like some grapes or, and yeah, I always thought if you drew a little face on a grape, it could be a nice little friend.
That's an interesting example.
hmm Is that the kind of friends that you're talking about?
No, more talking about um, different people that come to visit me at my
Oh,
behest.
oh, that's nice. Like you put out a call, you say, "Hey, friend, like I don't know, your name's Drake Capelli, but maybe your best friend's name is Drake Caspelli," and you call up Drake Caspelli, and you're like, "Drake Caspelli, come on over, let's hang out."
Are you making fun of my name?
No, 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 of course not. I was just using that as an example because it's a name we'd already brought up.
Yeah, normally my guests are surprised when they come to visit me.
Oh, like because they used to come visit you in a big house, but now you're in a little bunker.
Yeah, they don't realize the bunker is there, to be honest.
Well, where is your bunker, by the way?
Oh, top secret. It's near my house though.
That's smart. Yeah, my bunker's top secret, although it is in the backyard of my wife's house inside Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Mm. Yeah, I just don't want to give out the specific city and state just in case something happens.
That's smart. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have folks coming over who you don't want to come over. You just want to have the folks who you're inviting come over. That makes sense to
Well,
me.
the people that I'm inviting that are surprised to be there. Yes.
Yeah, what's so surprising about it?
Oh, it's just not what they expected. It's much colder.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess you got a big ice chest. That's gonna keep it pretty cold down there.
It keeps it cold for them for sure.
Keeps it cold for them for sure, huh? Huh. Now, you ever seen the show Fargo?
I've seen the movie and I've seen the show. What do you want to know?
Well, I haven't seen it because the only thing I watch on TV is the LSU football Tigers, of course. But I have heard about there being this thing where there's like a big ice chest and then there's a dead body in it, and then later they try to put another dead body in, but it's already been got full with a dead body.
Their chest was too small.
Right. But see, like you're the way you was talking about your ice chest and the way I'm thinking about that ice chest seem to be very familiar to each other, if you know what I mean.
I guess I'm having a hard time following that
Yeah, I think
line
I used the
of
wrong word
logic.
choices. But
But
like, oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say Fargo is interesting because oftentimes they are pretty close to getting away with the crime. So
hmm
that takes you up to a certain point for sure, and then you just have to make adjustments and take it from there, hypothetically.
Yeah, I suppose so. So, what would you say is the biggest takeaway you've learned from all your watching of the true crimes?
My biggest takeaway is probably if you're gonna commit a horrific murder, you should probably not have obvious motive to do it. I think that that's very
Yeah,
important.
that makes sense.
Um,
I thought you was gonna stop it. You should probably not, and I was like, I completely agree with that. And then you added have obvious motive, which I suppose I agree with that as well.
well, don't have obvious motive because they'll catch you, but
hmm
don't don't do it because they'll potentially catch you.
Well, and don't do it because then you're doing a big crime.
Yeah.
Hey Drake, let's see. Like before you went down into this bunker, what was your life like? Was you out there having good times, making good friends, or was you more of a loner?
Well, when you put a label on it like that, it makes me sound a little bit like a loser, but
Oh no, no,
I,
no, not a loser. Just I was just curious about your life.
yeah, I kept to myself mostly, but I wouldn't consider myself a loner. I was pretty social when I
hmm
wanted to be,
Yeah, you just
but uh, I, I, I prefer to spend. I don't like when people are trying to insert themselves into my life. I like them to be invited.
I see. Yeah. What kind of invitations are you making? Because I know some people, when they want people to come over, they send like a text message or they make a phone call, or maybe they even send like an elaborate little postcard. Is that your kind
Yeah,
of style?
no, I just bring them over.
Oh, okay. So like you go to their house, you like knock on your door, you're like, "Hey, good friend Drake Capelli, it's me, good friend Drake Capelli. You want to come over?" And then they just hop in your car, and come over.
Most of that's right. Yeah, I'll go over to their house and I'll pick them up and put them in my car or bring them over.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I mean that's cool. It's good to have friends. I am always worried about social distancing when I'm thinking about hanging out with folks, which is why instead of doing that, I do not do that, and I stay directly down here in my bunker. So at no point will I ever contract a COVID, have it come inside my body, eat my muscles, maybe work its way up through my lungs, try to get my brain. I don't want that.
Well, everything I know about COVID is it is expelled through breath.
Hmm.
And so if you avoid breath, then you're avoiding any potential spread of the virus.
I suppose that's true. Yeah, although it is hard in my experience trying to hang out with folks, real hard for them to not be breathing.
Just don't have them breathe on you.
True, true, true. Well, Drake, this conversation has made me concerned because I remember when I talked to you at one of my lectures. I remember you coming up to me after and saying like, "Hey, I'm worried about the apocalypse happening. How do you build a bunker that nobody could ever find?" And I gave you some advice, and I'm pleased that I did that because anybody who wants my advice, I'm happy to give. I said, dig it down deep. Don't tell anybody what's in your state it's in. Make sure there's an ice chest so you can keep your food cold. And it seems like you took that advice, but it also seems like your demeanor has gotten a lot darker than those days when you was just a a punky little kid looking for a bunker.
Yeah, I mean, people change. I feel like I listen, when you watch this show, when you listen to these podcasts, people
Hmm.
are always like, he's the last person I would have expected to commit this crime.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so
true.
I'm just trying to embody that.
You're trying to appear as though you're the last person anyone would expect to commit these crimes. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, Adam Macias in the chat says this is the first guy I would suspect, and I gotta say the way he was talking about this stuff is making me feel exactly the same way. There, Drake.
Hmm. Well, I guess there's always room for improvement, but I feel like maybe you guys are biased because you know about my shelter, but um,
I
it
suppose that's true.
can't be anything about my demeanor.
Well, it's kind of the way you talk, the fact that you chose to be in the dark, the way you kind of is obsessed with the way that these true criminals get caught. Now, Adam CS has a suggestion for you, which is maybe try a wig and just wear that around. You ever think about that?
Oh, I have many wigs, human hair wigs that I've fashioned.
Uh oh.
And I just when I'm making a public appearance like this, I don't like to put them on because I like people to see and know the real me. But I do have
Okay.
many of them.
Well, Drake, I'm getting a little concerned, and we are running out of time to speak with
That's
you.
an interesting
Um,
turn of phrase, running out of time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes me even more concerned. I won't lie because it seems like we started this conversation out on a wrong foot where you was upset with me. And now that I'm realizing that maybe you're somebody who's using true crime documentaries to learn from them and try to like apply their lessons so that you don't get caught doing crimes, I'm thinking, oh, I made this guy mad. Now he's going to come down my bunker, which I told you where it was, and try to kill me.
Well, here's the thing, Lester Pimps. We're all learning
He's
at
being nice
all
to me, trying to look good.
times. We're all trying to better ourselves. And so that's just what I'm doing is trying to learn and trying to grow. But you're right, I do know where your bunker is.
Mm. Okay, well, listen, I hope you learn and grow in a way that is nice and positive, and maybe instead of watching so much true crime, you try watching like the Care Bears or something.
I have no interest in bears.
Fair enough. Now, we do have to move on to our next guest, but before we do, I have a question coming to me through my publicist at Ezra Partier on Instagram, at Ezra Partier on Twitter. You can also follow me at Lester Pipps on Instagram. I got a question coming to me from at Too Much Jesse, who says, "Can you? Oh, you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, at Too Much Jesse looks like kind of like if instead of being in the dark, he was in the light. That's interesting."
Weird. We
Hmm.
all have maybe potentially doppelgangers out there, and that's actually a great way to get away with something.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I hope neither of you needs to get away with anything, but it is possible that you two's doppelgangers. A lot of people say that me and my publicist look a lot alike, which is interesting too. Now, Too Much Jesse wants to know: can you explain how a fax machine works? And the answer to that question is yeah. Okay, so fax machine takes a picture of whatever you're trying to send, digitalizes it, and then sends it out over a phone line. And then on the other side, the other fax machine reads that digital image that is being sent, and it says, "Okay, I can print that onto a piece of paper, and then you can have a big picture." That's how it works.
Yeah,
Drake Capelli,
I
did you know that, or do you have a different way that your fax machine works?
well, the only thing that I know about fax machines is it's a way to transport information about evidence, uh, which is not ideal.
I suppose so. If you're trying to hide evidence, that would be a problem. Now, Adam Macias says, "I hope he's never watched How to Get Away with Murder," and I would have to agree. But you know what? That's all the time we have for this little interview here, Drake. And I do hope you'll stick around and try not to scare my other guests if you don't mind. Now, my next guest is someone I'm very excited to talk to. Their name is Salty the Snowman, and well, they's a snowman. Salty, welcome to the show.
Hey there, kids! I'm Salty the Snowman, the magical snowman who can't stand racists. Salty the Snowman was a jolly happy soul until I read some books and he realized he could do more. Hey there, Lester, how's it going?
Pretty good, Salty. I'm glad to see you. I love your song. It's interesting how you switch from the first to the third person so much.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that may have been on purpose or on typo. How's it going, Lester? I really enjoy your bunker.
Oh, thank you, Salty. I appreciate that. Now the one behind me is not my real bunker, but I do appreciate that.
Oh, I
Uh,
know, I'm
uh,
a big fan.
oh, thank you. I really enjoy where it looks like you're at, which is a big mountain, I think.
I'm a mountain in Michigan. I'm made out of straight Michigan snow. Now, you might have heard of my brother Frosty the Snowman. Have you?
I
Have you heard
have,
of
yeah,
Frosty the Snowman? Okay, in
sure.
case you're wondering, he's also an ally, but just not as outspoken, which is in itself problematic. Bam! You've been salted, Frosty. Salty the Snowman wants all his family to be informed and not say such problematic speech. What's up, Lester?
Oh,
How's it going?
Salty, I love that. I try to be the kind of person who's allyship forward. A person who's like trying to make sure that people do good and don't do bad. And I love that. It sounds like you're embodying that same thing. How is
That's
that
great to
going for
hear.
you, by
Yeah.
the
How's it going for me to be an ally? Well,
way?
I gotta say, there's a lot of talk these days about white fragility, and I'm here to call bullshit on that. I'm literally as white as the driven snow, and is made of tiny, fragile snowflakes. But I will break my stick arms off of your honky ass if you say any shit about all lives matter. That's the point, Uncle Greg. Bam, you've been salted. Salty the Snowman. That's how I want you to know. So let me hold on. Let me start over again.
Okay.
Salty the Snowman wants you to know where you've been. So many people continue to die because of the color of their skin.
Wow, I mean that's a catchy tune. It's interesting. It seems like you have a bunch of different ways of singing your truth out there, and I really appreciate that.
Oh
Drake, have you
yeah.
ever considered that maybe singing could be a way of making yourself more happy?
I sing all the time. I sing to myself, bubbity bubbity bo. When I'm going about my work, I go bubbity bubbity bo. I was wondering, Salty, what are your feelings on hot water?
My feelings are hot water. Boy, do I not want to be in them. Just like all of those people who keep saying stuff like all lives matter and a bunch of problematic speech. Don't be like me and avoid the hot water. Okay? That's what I have to say.
Yeah, so I think what you mean by that is if you hear problematic speech, don't avoid dealing with it. Get right in there and say something good. Say something like, hey, you's being bad. Be good.
You know what? A lot of people make fun of snowflakes, and I say I'm made of millions and millions of snowflakes, but I will literally beat you with my twigs if you say some bullshit in front of me about some problematic stuff. And that's just how I live my life. Salty the Snowman wants all of you to know that if you cross me, I will let you fucking burn into the snow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Salty. I mean, I gotta say, that was the saltiest of your tunes so far.
Yeah. I might have. Sometimes I just like to improv. You know, I'm a big fan of jazz.
Very nice. Now, Kristen Scatton in the chat asked, Salty, do your arms ever get tired? And I want to expand that question and just say, hey, Salty, do you ever get tired being the only member of your family trying to be so outspoken about allyship?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Lester. If you allow me to be, I never get tired because I am driven by my passion to let people know that you can be part of the solution and not part of the problem. I like to say there's so many people out there that like to say, oh yeah, what about white people? Oh no, all lives matter. Listen, I am super duper white. I'm, would argue, the whitest creature in all of the world. But I never get tired of standing up for all of my brothers and sisters out in the world.
Wow, that's a beautiful message. But what about your arms, though? They sticking straight out. Like, I would get tired if I was hanging out like this all the time.
Oh yeah, no, I can't feel any of those. Those are just props.
Oh, really? So wait, so your arms aren't part of your corporeal body? It's just the snow?
Well, a lot of people wonder how I came to be, and I'd like to sing you a little song if that's all right.
Oh,
Lester.
sure, yeah. I would have asked that question eventually. I'm glad that you asked it for you.
Oh well, so I know you have problems with backing tracks, so I'm just gonna sing an acapella if that's okay.
Sure.
There must have been some magic in that purple scarf they found. When the kids placed it on his neck, he woke and they all danced around. The fact that there was a lot of white kids in that group and there wasn't a lot of representation at all the other cultures. I mean, this was Michigan. It's one of the biggest populations of Muslims in the whole country. I mean, also, come on, guys, open your hearts. Also, I think a wizard used to own this scarf.
Wow. I mean, there was a lot of subtext in that one, which was honestly something I never really considered. I'm not a big watcher of Frosty the Snowman. In fact, the only thing I've ever watched on TV is the LSU Football Tigers, so I haven't even seen it. But I believe you that it's very white, and especially if it's in Michigan, because folks don't understand. The Midwest is multicultural as heck.
Yeah, it truly is. It's a great melting pot of our great society.
Mm-hmm. But only in certain parts. You know, if you're just out in the cornfields, then maybe it is a lot of white people. But if you're in the city,
there's a lot of corn out there.
Yeah, that's true. Drake, do you ever watch Frosty the Snowman to get advice on how to not be so frosty?
I don't watch Frosty the Snowman, but I was struck by something you said, Salty, that you don't get tired. I think that you might think about maybe benefiting from a very long rest.
Oh well, to be honest with you, I'm only 5 days old, so I have the optimism of a brand new baby. So as you know, it's just the winter, so snowfall has just fallen, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on in the world? Last time, I was told that people were around. There was snow. I talked to all the other snowmen. They're like, wow, this shit really went crazy. So now I'm reading all these books. I'm reading all the newspapers, and I'm like, okay, somebody needs to do something about these white supremacists.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm glad you stepped up. I mean, that's very true. Now, you're only 5 days old. Do you have a different life every winter? Again, I don't know how Frosty the Snowman works, so you may have to.
Do you know how like a phoenix works? Well, I'm
Sure,
like
yeah, it like it combusts and then it comes back to life later.
yeah, I'm like the reverse in that I melt and then I come back to later. Come back, but it's almost like a Doctor Who situation because I'm like a different one each time, you know? I like to think of
Oh,
myself as like a David Tennant this time.
cool. Well, is David Tennant your favorite Doctor Who?
I don't know. I'm just 5 years old. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I guess if he's the only one you ever saw, he's probably your favorite.
Salty the Snowman sure loves David Tennant, but if you think you are not purposeful, then you are like to bet it that you better speak out against racism. See, I got it. Tied it back in.
Hey, yeah, you made it work. That was great.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, Zalti, have you had any? You know, a lot of folks talk about, you know, around the holidays they have to have difficult conversations with their family. Now, you told me already that Frosty's on board, but do you have any members of the Snowman family who are maybe, I mean, I don't even want to say his goddamn name, but is they voting for? Is any members of your family voting for? I can't. Let's see. I've called him Diddy Kong Trump.
Oh,
I've called him Dick Job Trump. I've called him.
You're
I'll call
talking-
him. Do you ever have any of your families vote for Dung Beetle Head Trump?
No. So we actually in the Snowman community, we have our own president, and our president just happened to be called Donald Clump of Coal, and that's why I'm here to speak about vote pile of snow, Paris, pile of snow from Paris, 2020. Vote Biden, pile of snow from Paris over lump of coal 2020. That's what I'm here to say. Vote. Everybody needs to vote. Also, don't vote for Donald Trump.
Wow, there's such interesting names in the Snowman community. There's Frosty the Snowman, there's Salty the Snowman, then there's pile of Trump from Paris, pile of snow from Paris, and I mean, hey, everybody has different names. You'd expect the naming convention to stay the same for the whole community, which is
it's
wrong.
Literally just a pile of snow. He was once a snowman, but he's melted into just a pile.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. When they hit old age, snowmen have a little bit harder time holding themselves together.
Yeah, and then clump of coal. He's just so gross. What a gross guy. Kids out there, don't be like clump of coal. Be like pile of hair. Be a pile of Paris, where he has hope for the future.
That's great. I remember I heard a little bit about this the Snowman race, and I how do you feel about lump of coal's running mate Mike Fence?
Yeah, no, I know Mike Fence. Oh God, Mike Fence. He's practically as boring as like a Christian pastor. Oh man, he's just he's just there to, like, you know, people were like, build that wall. I was like, why? We don't need Mike Fence to be around here anymore. Come on, guys. Frosty the Snowman. Oh wait. Oh, Drake, you got a question?
Yeah, just so I know who I should watch out for when I'm in the Snowman community. The Snowman community also includes coal and fences.
Yeah. It's just general all the things that are outside in whimsy. But Clump of Coal wants to take all of that away. He wants to just let everybody know you're not going to be covered by snow next year. If you vote him, no one will be covered by snow next year. And we're snowmen. We need snow to live.
Well, especially
in 2020. So fences divide snow.
And Mike Fence is two pieces of wood, one vertical and one horizontal, stuck in a snowbank covered in snow. So it is the case that Mike Fence is both fence and snow in a way.
In a way, yeah, in a way. But I tell you, pile of snow from Paris, so good. Everybody should vote for them this year. Frosty the Snowman wants all of you to vote for pile of snow from Paris, because if you don't, we'll die, and it'll be so we'll just die.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't have that. We got to make sure that the snowman community stays alive.
But
Every community within this great country of ours is worth keeping alive, in my opinion.
truly, and
Uh,
well, Drake, you got a problem with that?
You disagree with that, Drake?
no, I just think that it's more nuanced than that.
How do you mean? I mean, we saying that every community out there is deserving of life, and you saying that you don't think there's some communities that's worth killing. It seems to me like your whole thing is there might be certain individuals who's worth killing.
Well, they're part of communities.
I suppose that's true. Hey,
That's what I'm here to say is that everybody should be building our world as a community. Snowman, snow woman, fence, coal, human beings, dogs, animals. We should all be living in this world together because, yes, we are all here to strike down tyranny in the United States.
Now, Salty, this brings you just mentioned something that reminded me of an important question, which is when I was a little kid, I would sometimes make a snowman. Now, obviously in Louisiana there was no snow, but I would occasionally go on vacation to visit my family in Colorado, and I would make a snowman. Of course, it wasn't animated. I couldn't make it come to life, so it wasn't part of your community. But every once in a while, dogs would come pee on it. How do you feel about dogs that pee on snowman?
Oh, they're the worst. Gosh. Come on. Can you just imagine a dog just peeing on your leg? It's just freaking terrible. People need to put out fences just to put in front just to make sure that nobody's getting peed on by dogs. It's just terrible.
That's why they added Mike Fence to the lump of coal ticket in the first place, was to distract people from all the pee stuff going around.
But that's the problem. Once you build a fence, how are you gonna get more decorations from all the kids in the neighborhood? If there's a fence, no one can see how great you've been decorated by all the love and support of all the children in your neighborhood.
Absolutely. Well, Salty, thank you so much for this. This has been enlightening. I love that you're on the side of progress for folks of all communities. I love that. I love the education you gave us onto the world of snowman politics, which honestly, other than the fact that Mike Pence was the running mate to the lump of coal, I didn't know very much about.
Yeah, well,
thank you very much for that.
So much for trying to be informed about our community. And I just want to say, Lester Pipps, you might be preparing for the apocalypse, but you're also preparing for a new best friend. Salty the Snowman. If you like Lester Pipps, then you can just go ahead and subscribe to my list.
Oh, thanks, Salty. Your list, what do you mean by that?
Salty the Snowman needs to explain his list. It's just a list of his favorite shows, starting with Lester Pipps.
Oh, that's very nice. I hope that at Comedy Bureau is listening and thinking, hey, we could add Lester Pipps to our list too. That's great.
Salty the Snowman wants to talk to Comedy Bureau. If you don't put Lester Pipps on your list, then I will talk to You're Not Longer My Hero.
Okay, well, listen, I don't want either of you upset with the Comedy Bureau. Comedy Bureau is a great person doing great work.
Salty the Snowman needs to talk to Jake Kroger, because if you do not put this show, well, okay, I'm definitely going to say something about over. So that's all I'm saying. All right, okay.
I'm nipping this in the bud. Jake Kroger, you do whatever you want to do, but if you do want to add us to your list, please do. Now, we have to move on to our next guest. I'm very excited to do that. But before we do, I have a question coming to me through my publicist at Ezra Party on Instagram. You can also follow me at Lester Pipps on Instagram from a guy named Adam R. Mack, who looks like kind of like, if instead of being a snowman, you was a human being, I bet you'd look a lot like Adam R. Mack.
Yeah, probably.
Now, he wants to know who would want to paint your self-portrait. And who would you want to paint your self-portrait, and why is it nude? Okay, two great questions in one. Well done, Adam R. Mack. Now, if I was to have my self-portrait painted, I would like it to be done by President George W. Bush, because the way that he paints dogs makes me think he could make me look like a cool dog. Now, why is it nude? Because dogs is nude. Duh. That's what I think. Salty the Snowman, who would you want to paint your self-portrait, and why is it nude?
I would like to have the guy that did the art for the Titanic drawing,
Oh,
because
interesting.
then he could paint me like one of his French piles of snow.
Oh, very nice. And why is it nude?
Because I would just be a bunch of melted ice. Because
Very good point.
if I lost my scarf, I would just melt. That's the whole point. I can't be nude, otherwise I would die.
Oh, that would be terrible. We'll keep the scarf on you then for the picture. Drake, Capelli, any interest in a self-portrait and making it nude?
I think many police stations have sketches of me, and I think it's just my face, so could be nude.
Okay, well that's terrifying. I hope you I can't decide if I hope you get caught or I hope you don't get caught. But I hope you don't get caught during the show because that would be a strange interruption. Now, we do have another guest coming to the show who I'm very excited to introduce.
Whoa,
They
cool.
they're an Amish person who's on Rumspringer. And their name's Gertie Gladfelter. And well, here they are. Gertie, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Lester. Hello, Mr. Salty. Hello, Mr. Drake.
Hi, Gertie. How are you? How you adapting to this Rumspringer life during quarantine?
Yeah, it's good. I go on Rumspringer at the beginning of the year, and the next thing I know, it's COVID, and I must go back inside. But it has still been very good because there are many fun things to do even during COVID when you're on Rumspringer.
Well, I'm sure they are. I sure hope that you're here to tell us about them.
Yeah, there's you have the television, the Netflix is very interesting. I'm a big fan of the Netflix and the baking show, the Great British Baking Show.
Yeah.
Is very fun. I as an Amish person, I love to bake. They make very interesting things on this show, not like we do. I know how to make. I go on the Great British Bake Off and make shoe fly pie and and all kinds of streusel and the schnitzel. But they make very, very delicious looking cakes and things, and that is very interesting.
Absolutely. Now, I know a little bit about Amish folks, but not too much. So correct me if I'm wrong. But Rumspringer, that's when you leave the Amish community to go experience the world as it is today, and then you have to come back, or you get to choose to come back. Which one of those is true?
You get to choose. It is personal. It is a personal choice. You get to choose if you want to go back and join your community, or if you want to stay in the non-Amish community.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been out?
I come out in January. I come out in January after I turn 16, and so I'm coming up on.
You're not on Rumspringer yet.
No. I go on Rumspringer in January of this year.
Oh, okay. You're saying it like it's the future, but you mean it like it's the past. I got you. Okay.
Yes. I grew up speaking the Deutsche, the Pennsylvania Deutsche, and so my English is,
yeah, sure.
They're good,
Yeah, it's so okay. So you're from one of the Pennsylvania communities. Now there's a ton of Amish folks out there, and y'all got your own like community. You got your own language. You got your own everything up there, which is very, very interesting. Speaking of communities, right, Salty? This is one of the communities that we got to make sure people respect and stay alive.
It's one of the coolest communities out there. There's so many great things out in all of those communities where they are just a great group of people that are coming together and celebrating who they are all the time. It's really great, Gretchen, and I can't wait for you to experience the outside world just like I did.
Yeah. Thank you, Salty. And we definitely are making the snowman when it snows. It snows much in Pennsylvania, and we make the snowman, and we throw the snowballs, and it's very fun.
Well, be careful of those snowballs. Those might be my babies.
Oh yeah, would not want to hurt your babies.
I'm just kidding. No, we're only sent in if we have a wizard's scarf or a hat or some sort. So don't worry about it. I'm just kidding with you.
See, I'm learning much. I'm learning much on Rumspringer. They're
Salty
good.
Now, I did notice there was a slight name confusion there where Shelty called you Gretchen, but your name's Gertie. And I love that it went over much better than when I accidentally called Capelli Drake Caspelli.
It happens. I have a sister named Gretchen. I have many brothers and sisters. There's Gretchen and Abigail and Ezekiel and Jebediah and Elijah and Anna, and so my mother gets confused. She calls me Gretchen. Sometimes she calls me Gertie. She calls me Elijah. It's okay.
Sure, it happens. It totally happens. Now, Gertie, having been out on Rumspringer since January, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously 2020 has been a weird year out here in the wild world and not Amish country. But what are you thinking? Are you thinking you're going to go back, or are you thinking you're going to stay out?
Yes, das ist good question. You know, I still don't know. I still don't know. I do miss my family and my community and the barn raisings and the singing. We sing so much, and but I do like things about this modern world. Like I said, I like the Netflix, and I like it's much faster to get around in a car than it is in a horse and buggy. And I do like that. So yeah, I still am not sure. I still have some more time to decide, and I wish that the COVID would end so I could go out and experience even more.
Yeah, I mean, are there what kind of plans have you missed out on because of COVID? Anything you were really excited about that you didn't get to do?
Oh yeah. Was going to go to the Jersey Shore over the summer. Go and go to the beach and ride on the rides and walk on the boardwalk. Was going to someone invited me to something called Coachella. That sounded quite exciting. That did not get to go to. Just even simple things like going to something called gastropub that I heard about that seemed very exciting. So
I have a question for Gertie, if I could ask one.
Yeah, please, Salty, go for it.
What's been your favorite food since you've been out on Rumspringer?
Yes. My favorite food, I think they pronounce tacos.
Tacos.
The meat and the vegetables in a little, and you roll them up, and it's spicy, and it's very it's very different than what we eat at home. But it's very good.
Are you Rumspringer in? Where are you nowadays?
So I am Rumspringing currently in California.
Oh, okay. So there's the tacos here. That's I'm not there.
Yes, and they introduced. I'm staying with family with a family member, and they introduced me to tacos, and it's wonderful. They're wonderful. Cool. I will bring tacos back to my people.
Wow,
that's so cool. What's their names? I'm just curious.
What's whose name?
The family. Sorry.
Yeah, you're listing off all your brothers and sisters, but we'd love to hear you list off all the people you stand with.
Oh yes, of course. Well, it's distant family. It's my relatives of my great aunt Ethel, who left after she left on her Rumspringer and ended up here, and so it's my great aunt Ethel and her husband Jedediah and my they are second cousins, Robert and Roberta and Bob and Barbara. And yes, big family, and they're very welcoming and teaching me all about life in America.
Interesting that the naming convention for that family was so specifically male name, female name, male name, female name. Okay, well, Drake Capelli is.
They are not the most creative people. They are not the most creative people.
Well,
but I
Drake
love them.
Capelli, I see your hand up there. What, you have a question for Gertie?
Well, yeah, I wanted to touch on the name thing as well. There's a Robert, and there's a Roberta, and there's a Jebediah and a Jedediah, which I think is very fun. But I also did just want to say just a little piece of advice when you're trying to make a decision, our world or Amish world. If you mentioned driving in a car earlier, the problem with driving a car is there's identifying information on the car. So there's a license plate and they can tell it's you.
Yes, that is true. But in where I'm from, in Pennsylvania, Dutch country, horses and buggies actually do also have to have identifying information in case there are accidents sometimes, and you can't have buggies just driving really all over the place and causing accidents. So
it's a really good way to put it, that there are accidents sometimes. I agree with that phrase.
Okay.
Are there any vanity horse and buggy license plates?
No, we are not a vain people. We are all about community, not necessarily individuality, which is something that I'm learning is very important to most modern people.
So I guess the opposite would be like humble, right? So are there humble license plates then?
There's just license plates. There's no humble or vain. They are just license plates with letters and numbers.
Yeah, if I was Amish, I'd get LSU football Tigers stamped on my horse's ass.
You could do that. You could do that.
Well, yeah, that's just a thought. Now, Corey Crooks in the comments says fried bologna, which I think is a suggestion for food you should try. Have you ever had that?
Oh, the fried bologna is one of our favorite foods. We love it. We cook it all the time. I recommend that everyone else should eat it.
Oh, that's an Amish food?
Yeah. It's Amish food, is delicious, is good for breakfast, is good for dinner, is good any time of day. I might put fried bologna on a taco, and I think that would be very delicious.
That's something I love about America, is just blending cuisines and cultures, making a Mexican Amish blended taco. That sounds fantastic. Now we are coming up on the end of the show here, but so Gertie, thank you for being here, of course. Now before we actually are free to go a little bit over, since we didn't get onto the Twitch for whatever reason. So we're going to do that. I'm not still mad at Setflix. Yes, I am. We're going to run a little bit over, which is, I'm fine with that. Now, I have a question coming to me from my publicist at Ezra Party on Instagram, at Ezra Party on Twitter, and you can also follow me at Lister Pipps. From Chrissy at Chrissy has a smartphone, who looks like kind of like if you weren't wearing a bonnet there, Gertie. That's interesting.
I always wear my bonnet.
I'm sure you do. Now, Chrissy wants to know, if you could have a dinner party with any 3 people, living or dead, who would they be? Okay, that's a good question. I like where this is at. So, number 1, most important person to have on the list is obviously Dr. John. Dr. John Rabenek, legendary New Orleans jazz blues musician. My favorite person who recently died. Maybe even my favorite person. I'd have them at that dinner party. Number 2 would, of course, be my son, Bubba Gump Pipps. I know my wife doesn't let that be his name. She wouldn't let me name him that, but that's still what I call him. And number 3, number 3, I guess I'll go with my wife. What about you, Gertie?
That's an interesting question. I would choose my grandfather and my grandmother and my other grandfather, because I don't know many people.
Well, it sounds like you might be thinking about heading back to Amish country if you're so dedicated to being with your family.
Yeah, family is important.
I hope you have an easy time making that decision. Now, Salty the Snowman, if you had that dinner party where you could have any 3 people, living or dead, who would you have at that party?
Wow, that's easy. First, I would have Pile of Snow from Paris because I just want to talk to them about all their experience in the government and all their civil servants. Secondly, I would probably have Frosty the Snowman there just because he's my brother and I love him. Thirdly, I would have our grandfather there just because then I could finally talk about him about his problematic views in front of some very supportive and knowledgeable people. Frosty the Snowman and Salty the Snowman and Pile of Snow from Paris talk to my grandpa, and then we inform him that he should not have so many bad opinions.
Wow, I love that. And real quick, what is the name of your grandfather? It's not just Grandpa the Snowman, is it?
Oh, Grandpa the Snowman? No, that would be ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
It's old bag of snow.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that question. Now, Drake Capelli, if you had that dinner party with any 3 people, living or dead, who would you want?
If I had a dinner party, 3 people, living or dead, I would choose dead.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was afraid you might say that, and that's just the way it is. All right. Well, we're gonna get to the end of the show now, where we do a little bit of plug time. Drake Capelli, let's start with you. Anything you want folks to find on the internet, and any last words of advice for my listeners, Drake?
Yeah. Last words of advice are just be careful out there. They say it all the time, but it's true. Do I want any plugs? No, I don't want people knowing who I am or where I am. But if you're interested in following online social media accounts, I would look for Too Much Jesse for Public Breakup and the Problem Loser.
Oh, okay, sure. And at Too Much Jesse is the guy who wrote in that question we talked about earlier, which is good. The one about how fax machines work. And Public Breakup and Prom Losers are both sketch comedy groups in the Los Angeles area. Interesting that you'd be so excited about those things, but thank you for plugging them. Salty the Snowman, the same question for you. Any last words of advice for my important listeners here, or anything that you want folks to find on the internet?
I also gotta say, stay safe out there, folks. It's gonna be crazy this year, but if we all stick together and stay informed, we'll all come out this better in the end. Also, follow Adam R. Mack and at Go Finger Guns for comedy and podcast stuff. Also, there's also a show called Fake News on Fridays on this channel well, at least on the Finger Guns comedy channel at 7 p.m. It's super duper fun.
Great, and that's at Go Finger Guns, which is a comedy show on Mondays, and Fake News, which is a comedy show on Fridays. I love that you plug comedy so much, Salty. I mean, comedy, in my opinion, is a way for people to not having a good time.
Well, comedy is also a weapon. Salty the Snowman sure loves comedy because if he didn't laugh, he would die a slow death.
Oh, you would? Oh, no. Well, I hope you laughed at some point during the show, so he's not dying a slow death right now.
I did, and I could tell you exactly when.
Okay.
I'll tell you off the pod.
Oh, okay, great. Gertie, the same question for you. Anything last words for my listeners?
Oh, hey.
Last words for my listeners. Anything that you want folks to find on the internet?
Yes. My advice to all the people is to try the fried bologna, also known as scrapple. Is very delicious. Seems gross, but is very delicious. So make scrapple tacos, and you will be very happy. I also have found out about comedy since being on Rumspringer. And say that everyone should go follow fevercomedy.la. They are very funny, as is at Chrissy has a smartphone on the Instagram and on the Facebook. And yes, you'll laugh. It's very good.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you very much for that, Gertie. Now, it is time for me to say, listen, if you was watching this show and you're thinking, I'm not sure how much apocalypse advice I got, well, go listen to our back archives. There's plenty more there. All right. And you can find those at my publicist website at www.ezraparler.com/LesterPips. You find it all right there. All the archives are up there. You can also listen. I like that show, Fake News. I'd watch that. Oh, that's a ticker. I wanted the one that's not the ticker. Hold on, I'll find it. This is good. This is good podcasting. Okay, there we go. At Fake News Fridays at 7 p.m. We don't have a handle yet, and by we I mean they don't have a handle yet, but we probably will. There's also Public Breakup's a good thing. Fever Comedy LA is a good thing. And one thing that I do to make sure that I follow all those things that my publicist is involved in publicizing was I follow him, and so I recommend you do that. But I do have to find the banner for that because there's a whole mess of banners here available to me, which makes it complicated. Oh God, I'm having a
Hey,
hard time.
check the screen. Oh, okay.
Somebody else did it for me. Very nice.
It was already up there.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, that's Ezra Potter on Instagram or at Lester Pipps and follow me. Now, listen, you're thinking, hey, isn't this the time of the show where you just unceremoniously leave the internet? It used to be, but now we got a new way to end, and it's going to be